Hi guys, happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are doing well and staying healthy. Um, for today, I just want to go over a really quick lesson with you guys and looking forward to what we are doing tomorrow. So, looking on our weekly agenda, which hopefully you guys are glancing at, um, for today, it says that we are going to be, for instruction, modeling character change with the crossover. The learning target is I can describe how my character's traits change throughout the story using evidence from the story. We'll get into that in a second. Okay. Before we move on to the activity, look forward to Thursday, tomorrow. So tomorrow has the same learning target as today, and the activity is a formative assessment for that learning target. Okay, so tomorrow you're having a formative assessment, which is a practice grade, but it will be worth, more points than like the 5 point discussion post you've been doing lately. Okay, um, today's activity should give you some good practice to prepare for that. Okay, so the learning target is to describe how characters' traits or how characters change through the story. Some of the, or actually all the strategies that we've been learning over the last week or so can help you with that, and that's why we've been practicing them already so far. So, hopefully you've already watched the crossover part 6. If you haven't, please watch that as soon as I'm done with the video. So I won't, I'll try not to give spoilers today I'm going to have to try really hard. So I won't spoil anything in my examples that I give you. Okay. So your formative assessment, whether you are in advanced ELA or just ELA 7, is exactly the same. There are just different short stories. Okay, so I'll talk about that in a second because your assessment tomorrow is going to be based on some short stories. Okay, so as you can see the learning target up top here, this practice assignment that's currently your activity for today is pretty much identical to your actual assessment you're taking tomorrow, except in this example here, we're using the crossover, and then when you do it, you'll be using an example from the crossover or your independent reading book for today's practice. Tomorrow, like I said, for your formative assessment, you are using a short story. We'll get into that. So you are going to, here are your directions, think about how a character has changed throughout the story. Think about how character traits that you've noticed so far and how the character has matured or regressed. Sorry, my video lost or paused there for a second. So I believe, as I was saying, how a character has matured or regressed. Regressed is like the opposite of mature, like going backwards in what their goal was or like getting worse. So use those character STEAL details. Remember, STEAL stands for speech, thoughts, emotions, actions, and looks. Those are good hints for looking at character traits. Use those as clues as to how the character has changed. In these spaces below, you're going to identify a character, identify a change that you've seen, and give an example from the text. We always want to give examples from the text because if we don't do that, there's no credibility to our argument, and it's good practice. If you decide to use the crossover today for your example that you'll be doing on your own, I know that in the more recent videos, as I've been reading, I've been trying to make sure you can see the page numbers, but some of the earlier ones, I don't remember if today's is this way. You can't see the page numbers. If so, that's okay. I understand. You don't have to put it there just for the practice today. Okay, so my example from the crossover is I'm using the character Filthy because he's the main character. A change that I've seen in the character, there are spaces for 2 just because, I say this in class a lot. I like to come up with more than I need and then I can pick which I think is the best, which I think is usually a good strategy. So the first the first change that I saw was Filthy has become more jealous. Okay. My example from the text that proves this is down here. Um, Filthy sees JB at the library with his girlfriend, Miss Sweet Tea, and it ruins his day. He says he wants an apple of his own eye. He clearly is becoming more jealous. Whereas at the beginning, it didn't even seem like girls or the fact that JB was talking to this girl didn't even seem like it phased him. Second character change I noticed, Filthy has become less focused. There are a lot of reasons for that, but one example that I decided was Filthy made mistakes at the basketball game and he even injured his brother. So that's bad. I mean, I think we can all agree. But that's not the type of mistake that he'd normally make. His brother and him, they say in the book, have this wonderful connection and they're teammates, but also they've been playing together their whole life. So the mistake that Filthy made there is not, that's not normal for him. Okay. When you are trying to look at character change, it can be good to use those reading strategies that we've learned so far in the week. So think of the character interactions. Have character interactions changed over the books? I know looking at Josh or Filthy and JB's interactions now in the book are way different than they were at the beginning. So I used that strategy kind of in the back of my mind. Okay, tomorrow before we go over to the formative assessment, we'll just do a quick review of the reading strategies that we did earlier on. So your assignment for today, just for practice, is identify a character change from your independent reading book, or you can identify a character change in the crossover. If you choose to use the crossover instead of your own book, it has to be for a different character. It can't be Filthy. Okay, has to be for a different character if you've noticed a change. Otherwise, do your independent reading book, which is a good time for me to remind you, you still should be reading 20 to 30 minutes every day. Okay. When you scroll down, this is the ELA 7 formative assessment. There are links to 2 short stories that you're going to be able to pick tomorrow to do this on. So if you want to pre-read them today, you can. Okay. Advanced ELA, I'm not making a separate video for you both because everything is literally exactly the same except for the stories. So you just have 2 different stories just based on what you guys have read. ELA 7 already read one of these stories earlier, and Miss Kostick and I picked these out accordingly. Okay, so I would highly suggest that you go and take a look at those stories before tomorrow. Okay, the last thing I'm going to say is hopefully, or if you see this before 1 p.m. tomorrow, or if you've seen the announcement on Google Classroom yesterday, I am going to have a live meeting today, Wednesday, at 1 p.m. because I really miss talking about books with people, and I'm wondering if you guys do too. And I think it'd be really fun to do book clubs. We're not doing this like we did in school where you have assignments or you get graded or it's required. But if you are at all interested in doing a book club, which honestly would just be if you and some friends say, hey, let's all read Counting by Sevens because I've heard it's really good, which it is. You can all do that. And I can help you facilitate that, like by setting up Google Meets. I can join. I'd be happy to join any of your book clubs and read along with you. If you join my meeting tomorrow, my live meeting, honestly, I don't really know how book clubs are going to go if we decide to do virtual book clubs. Totally optional, but it'll be a good chance to brainstorm. And if you join the meeting, you're not committed, so you don't have to do it. Okay? It's also a good opportunity to make independent reading more fun, in my opinion, because if you join a book club, that's also your independent reading. Okay. I think that's about all. Stay healthy, stay safe, wash your hands, and have a good Wednesday.